layoffs, and the Google CEO recently dodged some questions about layoffs at the recent All Hands. If you are not familiar with what an All Hands is, it's really just usually about a quarterly business meeting that all employees are invited to, all business units. They review the quarter at hand. And if you are at the end of the year, typically you'll go over some of the yearly results as well and things like that. So as we can see here, the Google CEO refused to rule out layoffs at the company during a recent question and answer session with employees, according to a report. And he fielded questions from employees on Thursday, and this also included one who wondered whether there were plans to cull the company workforce sometime next year. And the Google CEO responded, "It's really tough to predict the future, so unfortunately I can't honestly sit here and make forward-looking commitments," Pachachi said. His comments were first reported by Insider. The CEO added, "What we've been trying hard to do, and you've seen the messaging for the past many, many months, is we are trying to make important decisions, be disciplined, prioritize where we can, rationalize where we can, so that we are set up to better the storm regardless of what's ahead. I think we should focus on and try to do our best there." So more on this, guys. He was really grilled from employees at the All Hands about their job status and things like that. Google employees are nervously wondering whether the writing is on the wall after other tech giants have been hampered by the economic downturn, laid off chunks of their workforces. As we know, guys, we recently just covered Amazon. They are looking to lay off probably about, it says 10,000 here. That has been updated to 20,000. Facebook or Meta, they have shed almost 10% of its workforce. Last month, Snapchat is also laying off a bunch of people. I believe Lyft is also laying off a bunch of people. If I'm missing any companies, guys, that are laying folks off, but I haven't mentioned them, put them down in the comments section and just mention all the ones that I left out. And if I did include any, put the numbers there just so we can all see that, okay? Google previously announced a hiring slowdown as well as several organizational changes in order to weather the storm. It seems like a lot of companies are doing that right now, guys. There are not a lot of companies doing well right now. All right, it also introduced a new performance rating system known as GRAD, which has left Google employees dissatisfied. Workers reportedly expressed concern over frequent support check-ins from their managers who wanted to discuss performance with the workers who might not be pulling their weight. According to the Insider, the tougher review system was instituted earlier this year. It's piqued concern among the ranks that their job could be on the chopping block. That is not that is actually kind of common, guys. What they'll do is sometimes they'll create these new performance metrics so that they don't have to lay you off. You'll just kind of not be able to hit the numbers that they set, and you will be dismissed from the company. So that is something that some companies are doing at this time. You might even see that from companies that have already laid off a lot of folks but don't want the bad publicity. They'll probably create something like this, set some really high metrics, and then use that as a way to kind of lay people off through the back door. Okay, Alphabet's most recent earnings report showed that the company's summertime revenue growth fell to its slowest pace since the early days of the coronavirus pandemic 2 years ago. Okay, Alphabet, it also owns YouTube, posted a revenue of $69 billion for July through September quarter, almost a 6% increase from the same time last year. It marked the first time Alphabet's year-over-year quarterly revenue has risen by less than 10% since April-June period of 2020. So that was like almost a peak coronavirus time, guys, just for reference. At the same time, at that time, the advertising that generates most of Alphabet's revenue dried up because of the economic uncertainty during the pandemic's early months. Google's ad sales weakened even more dramatically than Alphabet's overall revenue. Ad revenue totaled $54.5 billion, just up 2.5% from the same time last year. And another sign of more challenging times, YouTube's quarterly ad sales decreased 2% from last year, the first time the video site's revenue has regressed since Google began disclosing its results in 2019. That's pretty surprising, guys, because YouTube seems to be growing in the right direction. But, a lot of folks are going onto TikTok and other social media platforms to put their advertising dollars into more popular places. And also, typically in the recessions, there's less money to go around for marketing. But I do have a theory on if there are going to be layoffs. I think we can kind of find out where those are going to happen. generally speaking, guys, in most businesses as large as Google, almost any company that's really in the Fortune 500, right? They have multiple business units. They have multiple products. Google has their search engine. They have YouTube. They have their advertising business. They also have the Google Cloud. This is where we believe the layoffs will happen. So Ian Morris from Light Reading is the editor there. We'll give him a shout out here. One of the striking things about Google or Alphabet, as it prefers to call itself for results purposes, is just how little it makes from their cloud business. Right? So it looks like they have a revenue of about $6.3 billion in a single quarter. But for them, that's actually not that great, guys. So if we look down a little bit further, if we look at the profitability metrics, Google Cloud is effectively being subsidized by search engine advertising dollars. They are almost losing that's close to $1 billion in the second quarter. That loss widened from $591 million a year earlier, and it's remarkable considering the year-on-year rate of sales growth. So this is our prediction, guys. If there are going to be layoffs, not saying it's not going to happen anywhere else, but you're probably going to see most of the layoffs start coming from here. Generally speaking, if business units start losing money, that's going to be where you're going to start. And furthermore, Google is routinely included into the trio of dominant public clouds, but it's the less successful rival to Amazon, the market leader, and Microsoft. While the former does not report its end of June results until later in the week, Amazon AWS, its cloud unit, made even more in operating income for the end of March quarter than Google did in sales for the most recent one, roughly about $6.5 billion, and as much as $18.4 billion in sales. Microsoft is hard to compare simply because it lumps so many things into the cloud, guys, and the results are that are not strictly about the public cloud. So at the intelligent cloud unit that includes Azure, its AWS equivalent, revenues came in at about almost $21 billion for the end of June quarter, up a fifth year-on-year, while operating income rose 11% to nearly $8.9 billion. And we can kind of see here, guys. We'll leave the link for you to read on in here. But that's really the gist of it, guys. If these Google layoffs happen, they are probably going to come mostly from the cloud. And companies, frankly, usually use this as a time to kind of shed some of their weight in other areas too. So even if they're up in other areas, they'll use this as a time to kind of cut dead weight and grow their profits further. So if you like this one, go ahead and check out our video on the Amazon layoffs. I'll post that one right here.